project, I want to demonstrate how we can use integer division and the modulus operator to our advantage to find a result. So in this example, we want the user to put in a number of inches, such as 127 is what I have entered here. And in the display down here at the bottom for enter inches and click convert, when we click the convert button, down here it will show that 127 inches equals 10 feet and 7 inches. And there we go. So we're going to use the integer division to be able to divide that number by 12, which will give us the number of feet, and then use the modulus operator, dividing by 12 to get the remainder, which gives us the number of inches. We also have a clear button here that clears everything. Notice that it puts the focus in the text box here, and when the text box gets the focus, its background turns yellow. When it loses the focus, such as when I tab, it turns back to white. And then finally there's a close button here that will close the project when we're done. So let's take a look at this in Visual Studio. So I've already created the project in Visual Studio. I'm just going to walk you through the interface and then we'll look at the code. So I have a picture box here with an image of a tape measure just for aesthetic purposes. We have a label that says enter inches. No name to the label, we're not going to refer to it in code, but the text box next to it is named txt input. It will be used in code. And I gave it a default property. I'm going to pull the properties over here so you can kind of zoom in a little bit and you can see this a little bit better. I set the text property to 127. It's my default. That's my test case. But the user can certainly change that. The close button is named btn close. The text is close. The convert button is named btn convert. The text is convert. And the clear button is named btn clear and the text is clear. Then we have a label down here at the bottom named LBL output. And the initial text there is enter inches and click convert. But when we click the convert button, this is where we'll see the response or the output of our process be displayed. So that's our interface. I'm going to pull the properties panel back over and dock it here at the bottom. Let's take a look at these different buttons. We'll start with the close button. We'll kind of do the easiest one first. So I'm going to double click on that. And you can see the code here for btn close underscore click is this.close. Close is a method. When we close the main window, then the application actually closes. The btn clear button simply resets the text of our LBL output label to enter inches and click convert. It clears the text in the txt input text box. We could also use txt input.clear method here. And then I set the focus also to txt input.focus so that the cursor appears in that txt input text box and we're ready to enter more information. Remember that that text box turned yellow when it got the focus, and the way that was done was to look at the events for that text box. So I selected txt input. Looking at the events, there is an enter event, and I created a method called focus gained, and there is a leave event, and the method is called focus loss. The enter event is triggered when the object gets the focus, and a leave event is triggered when the object loses the focus. Let's go back to our code and look at those two methods. So the focus gained, we have our sender object, which would be whatever object is getting the focus. In this case, we're going to specify that that is a text box. It's the only object we're working with in this case is a text box. So we're going to say sender is a text box. We're going to assign it to a new instance of a text box named tbx. And then we can simply change the back color of tbx to color.yellow. And tbx in this case is synonymous with our sender object or that txt input. When it loses the focus, basically the same thing. Exact same line, we're setting up tbx as a text box instance, and then we're changing the back color to white. And then finally, our convert button is where the work is happening in terms of converting those total inches to feet and inches. I have three variables here that are integer variables, total inches, feet, and inches. We're going to take the text of our input box, txt input. We're going to use int.parse to convert that from a string value to the integer value of total inches. And then we'll use integer division to figure out the number of feet. So we're going to take the total inches, which is an integer, and divide by 12, which is also an integer. And so feet becomes an integer. It will drop off in a remainder. So it's going to be that whole number that comes out of the division. And then inches, we're going to take total inches again. And we're going to use the modulus operator of percent with 12. This is going to be the remainder of that whole division, which if it's 127 inches, we're going to get 10. 127 divided by 12 gives us 10, with 7 left over. And that 7 left over is going to be represented by this equation and placed into inches. And then we have our output, LBL output.text equals total inches.toString. So we're converting it from an integer to a string. I'm going to concatenate the word inches equals with a space on each end. Concatenate feet.toString. So again, changing from integer to string. Adding to that feet space and space. And inches.toString. Converting that from an integer to a string. And adding to that concatenation of the word inches. So let's run this. So my default of 127 inches comes up there. If I convert, we're going to get 127 inches. It's taking the 127, converting that to a string, concatenating inches equals, converting the 10 to a string, concatenating feet and, converting the 7 to a string, and concatenating inches. And there is our output being displayed in that label. Now if I change this to something like, let's say 63 and convert, we're going to get 5 feet and 3 inches. If we do an 11, we get 0 feet and 11 inches. And if we were to do something like a 24, we would get 2 feet and 0 inches. So that's how this project works and how we can use integer division and modulus to our advantage to find the numeric results that we're seeking.